Hey guys, normally this would be KO Podcast Home, but we're going to do something a little bit different tonight. It's going to be one topic. I'm not going to go into like what my goals are for the weekend. I got a lot of stuff to do, but it's going to be different this time. So what I want to try out is I'm getting stuff together so that I can do more gaming streams on YouTube, and I want to do movie stuff, like just movie stuff content. Like I could talk about movies like in KO Podcast Home and all that stuff, but I want to like do my take on movies. And the idea I have is Box Office Bomb Squad. Now, let me be clear about this. Box Office Bomb Squad is me keeping track of movies, what I think of them, going into it, what I think if they'll be a hit or not, or just the science of putting out a movie and what goes into it, aside from whether or not it's good. So, this is going to be about premieres, leading up to things. I'm going to have some graphics on here. I'm probably not going to shoot it in my car like I am now, but I wanted to get this done because of the movie I'm going to be talking about right now. Black Panther. I'm on my way to the theater right now. I'm in slow-moving traffic. I have 2 hours to get there, give or take, and I'll be there. So, anyway, Black Panther. Black Panther is a Marvel movie. It's been in the making for several years, and I want to talk about the concept of picking out a date for a movie to release. Now, as a rule of thumb, I do not see movies in January in theaters because I know there's a strong possibility they suck. Most movie studios will release stuff in January that's bad or it's Oscar-worthy, but not even Oscar-worthy stuff gets released in January that much because they want it released in the fall. They want it released in like November, December, so that it's had enough time to marinate in the votes, shall we say, and you can't release it too far back because Oscars won't consider it. I mean, they have the Oscars are their own beast. To steal a phrase, they are the white people bummer awards. Like, if you have a bummer drama for white people, it could very easily win an Oscar. It used to be any World War II drama involving Nazis and avoiding Nazis or escaping Nazis or dealing with Nazis. That was Oscar bait. Then it became civil rights movies where you're dealing with black and white issues or racism issues. That became Oscar bait. Then it became about sexuality. If you were making a movie about identity politics before they were called identity politics, that got you a movie, and you could see it. I mean, not to talk about the Oscars, but you could see it in the types of movies that win out versus what you really thought was a good movie. And this goes for nominations and all that stuff. But anyway, back to release dates. Release dates are important because the whole industry needs a good release date. You're not going to see movies that are of similar magnitude go up against each other. You're not going to have Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street come out on the same weekend because you're splitting the audience. The people you expect to like the movie are having to choose, and with movie theaters charging an arm and a leg to see a movie in them, it's dangerous. So if you have a big weekend where there's 2 or 3 top tier but not of the same style movies come out, you'll see a horror movie come out with a drama, and you'll see it come out with a comedy. And Black Panther right now is coming out in February, which is still dangerous movie time. Like, you don't know what's good, but it's better than January. And I think because it's Black History Month, they are putting out Black Panther now, and it's going ahead of Avengers Infinity War. It's going ahead of Solo. It's going ahead of Rampage, which I'm not too sure about Rampage. I'll get into that in a future episode. But what Marvel was counting on was having a good lead-in, because I looked. There's not that much coming out next week. They want Black Panther to be #1 in the box office 2 times in a row. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is who goes to see what movies. Let's assume that everything is a circle. Horror is a circle of people. Drama is a circle of people. Rom-coms is a circle of people. And that these people go to see these movies on repeat. Me, I'm an action movie circle guy, so if a movie has action in it, I want to see it. But I also want to see good stuff. So the Marvel movies are multiple circles. They are the comic book circle, they are the action movie circle, they are the good movie circle, which Marvel is tend to put out really good movies. Say what you will about like their lesser works, they are still solid pieces of work compared to generic car chase followed by explosion followed by twist followed by denouement movie. So Black Panther is going to be an interesting test of the black people circle and the comic book circle, because there is black people in the comic book circle, but there are probably more black people that aren't into comic books than there are that is. And some of the like not so great movies, but they are like movies that black people want to see, like supporting black actors, supporting like black concepts. And Black Panther appeals to that circle because everyone's been saying it's the first black superhero, but I want to say it's the first like incredibly black superhero, because Black Panther, let's say Blade, because Blade came out earlier, and I'm gonna say out loud, Blade was one of the most underrated comic book movies of all time. Like, people forget that it came out before X-Men. It came out R-rated before Deadpool. It starred Wesley Snipes, and it wasn't a Wesley Snipes vehicle. It was a good movie, and it was a comic book movie. It was a Marvel movie, but people forget about it because it's old, and like there's certain narratives about that Black Panther, which I'll get into later. But with Black Panther, it's going to have the comic book circle, it's going to have the black people circle, it's going to have the action movie circle, it's going to have the women's circle, because if you watch the trailers for Black Panther, you see a lot of women kicking ass. And there's a reason why movie studios use very simple formulas for making movies. Like, does it have a star? Does it have a good release date? Does it have something that doesn't have an it factor? Because movie studios want to quantify things. They want to have really good statistics and prognostication going into greenlighting a multi-million, several $100 million dollar budget movie so that they don't make a box office bomb and lose their jobs. And what they usually do for It Factor is they get a good director. Marvel has a track record of going to directors that are established, but not necessarily like incredible track record. I want to say Kenneth Branagh and Jon Favreau were the two biggest directors that they brought on to work with, because after that they brought in the guys from Game of Thrones, they brought in the guys from Monkey Bone. They got really good people, but people you wouldn't expect, and they've been the best I can think of with doing these things. Then so Black Panther, based on like that formula, has like an all-black cast. It takes place in Africa. It's showing Africa in a positive light. It's got the It Factor for several of the circles. It's got strong female characters, and it has stars. It has rising stars in the Black Panther lead. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's been in a lot of good movies and is a good actor. It's got the chick from Walking Dead. It's got Lupita Nyong'o. It's got the star in Chronicle, Creed, in playing the villain, and Michael B. Jordan. So this is a studio movie. It's like, by studio logic, it will sell. And to be fair, I can't even, even if the movie sucks, I can't even call it a bomb, because the sheer fact that it's broken so many records in terms of pre-ticket sales and February records, and the previous record I think was Deadpool, which was President's Day weekend, 152 million. Black Panther is already tracking for 178 to 200 million opening weekend, and I don't think there's anything coming out next week that'll take away too much from Black Panther. So you're probably going to get repeat viewers. Now, part of what goes into whether a box office bomb is a bomb or a success is hype. Certain movies come out, they're not going to make money. It's maybe they'll make their budget back, then it'll be a successful one, because you have to consider what a movie's cost to make and what it costs to market it. And so if you ever want to figure that out, the general rule is take the budget of making the movie and times it by 2. That's the break-even point. The way studios work now is they want 10 movies to come out in a year, and they want one of them to cover everything. So one tentpole movie during the summer has to make $1 billion to cover the other 10 movies. Now, if they have multiple billion-dollar movies, that is an awesome year. However, they don't. They're lucky if that happens. Lucky. So that's why you see people lose their jobs. You hear about shakeups. Sony, for example, wanted Ghostbusters 3 to be a big hit, and it wasn't. And an entire office disappeared overnight because the movie didn't make what they needed it to. Now, the wet dream of every studio executive is the Iron Man model, the Dark Knight model, the Titanic model, which is a movie will have repeat success week after week after week, so that it breaks as many records as possible. Iron Man did it first, and then I think The Dark Knight came out a year after that. But Iron Man, back when it first came out, was what put Marvel on the map, because it brought them so much credibility, Iron Man's success, that when they came out with Incredible Hulk, when they came out with Thor, that those first three movies, two of them were iffy, and one of them was a genuine hit. Genuine. So what Marvel is trying to do, I think, is establish Black Panther as the new Iron Man. They want Black Panther to be the go-to guy going forward, because they're not going to be able to pay Robert Downey Jr. Forever. I mean, they can, but I think eventually they're going to put Iron Man on a shelf, and they're going to just go with Black Panther for a few movies, a few phases, and then they're going to bring in other characters to go with it. They're going to phase out Thor. They're going to phase out Captain America and go with like cheaper actors that's more within the Marvel model. Now, this is all conjecture on my part, but Marvel has a track record for doing this stuff, and they want people that fall in line. They want people that do good work. They want people that know what they're doing. They want it cheap so that they can keep costs down going into it and whatever. So Black Panther was introduced in Civil War, and before Spider-Man hit, Black Panther was the main attraction to Civil War, other than superheroes beating each other up. And Marvel very adeptly made two breakout stars happen in Captain America Civil War, or should have been called Avengers Civil War, but anyway, should have just been called Civil War. The two characters that came out of it were Black Panther and Spider-Man. Spider-Man had, like, not tacked on stuff, but it had a much smaller role, and Black Panther was very adequately introduced so that they wouldn't have to do an origin story for the movie that I am about to see, which, like, they're probably going to get into, just based off the trailers that I've seen, and they're probably going to get into the stuff that like Wakanda itself, because my like, as a fan, what I've always thought of as Black Panther is basically Zamunda from Coming to America, as a world leader in science with a very particular resource that is very valuable to the world, which they control themselves. So the reason why the reason why it's like such an interesting concept is that Black Panther is not your typical Marvel hero. Black Panther is a king of a country, a very smart man, a very good athlete, incredible superhero. So he's basically Marvel's answer to Batman, and he's black. So that wins a lot of people over. It's like, to my knowledge, he doesn't have a tragic backstory. He doesn't have well, in the films he kind of does have a tragic backstory, because he becomes the Black Panther because his father is killed. So like dead dad, I guess. Like, but it was a foregone conclusion, because there's a history of the king becoming the Black Panther all the time. which it's like I don't know if it's like you could become Black Panther and not be king. Like it's a royal family thing in Black Panther that you get to become Black Panther because like warrior nation, stuff like that. So and even before Civil War introduced Black Panther himself, he was hinted at in a lot of places. If you look at Iron Man 2, the map that Fury has when he's talking to Tony Stark has a spot highlighted on it in Africa. Now, I'm not saying that's Wakanda, but what else is it going to be? So, that's Wakanda. Then, Avengers Age of Ultron, one of the like side villains, like he's really like Claw is in there. The guy that loses his hand to Ultron, the one, I don't know if he's a weapons dealer, mercenary, or he's something. And he has a mark branded on him by Wakanda, which is the Wakanda brand for thieves or something like that. And I don't think it's already established that Michael B. Jordan is the main villain, so I don't know how much we're going to see of Claw, but it would be nice to see the thing that Claw does in the comics is he has a prosthetic thing on his hand that he loses, and he creates things, or he creates projections that can attack you, or he has a hand that can do a comic book villain thing. So I want to see that. I think this is the part where I'm going to get into predictions, because I've already like Black Panther already has like a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I'm going to say right now, I'm going to use that as a thing I'm expecting people to talk about. But really, it's like if you go to an aggregate and have them tell you whether or not you want to watch a movie, like I think that's a little sad. But it is a decent like ruler to use for measuring the quality of a movie. So, and everyone was pissed because the one bad review was like, yeah, it's a Marvel movie. Okay. So, I think people are a little pissed off that it was like that was the basis of the bad score. So, and it's already made buckets of money at the box office, so it's definitely not a bomb. But just to talk about my predictions for the movie, I'm expecting at least 4 or 5 set pieces. And I was never a big Black Panther reader, so I really can't comment on what it's going to be about. But I do know that Martin Freeman plays a really cool character from the books, from the Christopher Priest run, which I am a fan of. I haven't read the whole thing, but what I have read was good. And I want to see one, even though it's like a very Christopher Priest thing, I want to see one black box with white writing. So, like either a title 5 minutes before, or just something to introduce Martin Freeman. That would be nice. I know that there's going to be like a lot of badass chicks fighting, so I want to see a really good one from the women, which I know we're probably going to get. I want to say they're going to show off the last Infinity Stone in Wakanda. I don't know how. I don't know what to expect in terms of like what we're gonna see from other Marvel movies. I know this is the lead-in for Infinity War, so the stinger on this one's probably gonna be something about that. I hope they don't kill off the villain, because that's the one thing that pisses me off about comic book movies, that they still haven't gotten it right. If they're gonna kill the villain, like, make it meaningful or create new villains in the process, because going back to Burton and on Batman, when the Joker died in the first one, that was a mistake. Get the character right. I'm old enough as a comic book reader, fan, seeing the movies, that when I see an adaptation, I want to get the character right and get it in a story that works. Because I love the Richard Donner Superman. I loved Batman by Burton. I kind of liked Batman Forever. When I was a kid, I could defend Batman and Robin, but I can't defend it that much anymore. And then when Marvel came around, they took the cue from Batman Begins, and they took it really serious when they were making the movies. And I don't know, it's a good time to be a comic book movie fan. So, all right, guys, I think I talked to you enough about this. All future movies or future episodes are going to be in a different setting. I'm not going to be recording them like I am right now, but I did this one because it's like an episode 0. So, all right. If you guys have seen Black Panther, leave me comments below, and I'm happy to discuss it with you, because I've already seen the movie by the time you're watching this. So, as always, peace.